Water Wisteria and Water Sprite, which one's which and which one's better? Today we're gonna dive completely into it. We're gonna share with you what the difference is, how to keep it, how easy it is to keep, and which one we like better. Let's get right into it. What is going on, all you shrimp keepers and plant keepers? This is Rob with Flip Aquatics and H2O Plants. Today, we are talking about Water Sprite and Water Wisteria. First, I want to take a look at Water Sprite, show you guys what it looks like, the difference that it has between Water Wisteria. Then we'll jump into Water Wisteria, talk about it a little bit. We'll talk about the care, how to propagate it, all those kind of things. We're really going to dive in deep with these two plants today. So first, let's look at Water Sprite. Frank, why don't you get a close-up of this tank and I'll kind of show off some characteristics of this. This is a really nice plant. It's got these very, I would say, almost flimsy stems. So like you can break these really easy. And that's one of the biggest difference between these and Water Sprite or Water Wisteria. Sorry, we're talking about Water Sprite. So Water Sprite is much more flimsy. It's got thinner leaves, although some variations like this one does have the wide leaves, but the stem is the biggest point where you can tell the difference. So we actually grow this in-house. We propagate it ourselves. To literally propagate these, it's really easy. One, you can go to where there's roots, like you can see some roots here. You can chop it off right there and it'll grow a new plant, or you can cut it at any point on the stem and this is gonna grow a new plant for you. So it is a stem plant. Now the thing with these, because they're so fragile, they don't ship well because they break so easy. Like you can see, there's a broken stem right there that broke off and we propagated it. This one probably right here, it's kind of out there, so that one might break off. So usually we try to ship these with some water, or just know that they are going to get damaged in shipping. So the best thing that you could do when you receive these in your aquarium is take this little weight and sponge, remove that, and let this float at the top of your aquarium. That's going to get a lot of CO2 exchange. It's going to grow a lot quicker. It's closer to the light. And then that's going to develop some roots. And then from there, you can plant it in your aquarium or use, you know, the weight that we provide and the sponge that we provide, and just anchor it down like you see here. And then you can just move it around, and then just to propagate it, all you do is cut it. Now let's take a look at Water Wisteria. Now this stuff looks phenomenal. We propagate this ourselves too, and I want to show you something that is a huge difference. The above water growth looks like this. It doesn't even look anything like the plant underwater. It's very big leaves. And Water Sprite will always look the same, whether it's grown above water or below water, at least all the variants that I've worked with. And so that's one big difference. So some retailers will actually sell the above water growth, which isn't necessarily bad. It's just you have to do the conversion yourself. But here's the ones that we're selling, much more converted, much more densely packed than Water Sprite. And the leaves or the stem, like let me get a good example of what the stem looks like. It's much more round and it's harder. Like you can't just break that stem, whereas Water Sprite would break right away. And so this personally is my favorite because it's such a hardy plant. It's really hard to break, but this is an example of some stems that are just now converting. So a lot of above water growth, and then it's just starting to get that below water growth right there, which is looking really good. So we'll hold this one. We'll probably propagate it one more time before we actually sell it. But that's what we do with this guy. Both of these are extremely easy plants. If I was gonna go with one or the other, I would always choose Water Wisteria just because it's much more denser, it grows quicker, it's easier to keep, it's easier to root down the substrate. So Water Sprite is still really good, but Water Wisteria is better in my experience. This plant is phenomenal for shrimp tanks. It's also really good for guppy tanks, any tank that's gonna have fry in it, because of how the leaf structure is. It's so dense. Those little babies can get in there, they can hide, the shrimp can graze all over them. And again, a really easy plant that you can keep in your aquarium. So like we talked about earlier, these guys can be floated, and it's actually recommended when you first get them in, just so they can develop really good roots. But I did want to make a point that why these guys are so great for shrimp tanks is they are column feeders. Now what that means is they are going to absorb the majority of their nutrients through the water column. So they don't need to have like root tabs like, Crips wood or different swords wood. They literally can just float in your aquarium and do really well, absorb the nutrients out of the water column, which is going to make them really easy to keep for your shrimp because you don't have to dose fertilizer. Now, if you are going to dose fertilizer, we sell Vital, which is an H2O product. That's a really great product that you can use in most shrimp tanks as long as your nitrates are below 10 parts per million. You never want them to get above 20, so always be monitoring your nitrates. And you're going to be, actually, it's nitrites. Sorry, no, it is nitrates. I'm a liar. I'm all over the place today, but that's okay. So anyway, these guys are going to feed from the water column, which makes them a great plant for your shrimp tank. I hope you guys were able to learn something today. We have a ton of propagation to do, but hopefully I encourage you to try Water Sprite, try Water Wisteria, and if you already have them, at least now you know the difference. We're gonna get back to propagating. Right now we're doing some baby tiers so that we can make our customers happy next week. But we have a lot to do, so you guys make it a great week. As always, God bless, and catch you on the flip side.